Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Sky's the Limit. I'm your host, Omar Khalid Butt. Now, education and philanthropy are those two tools that bring a country or a nation forward. Education is that basic premises whose seed might be bitter, but the fruit is extremely sweet, as Aristotle has pointed out. Today we are in VA, in the University of VA, and we are going to try to understand not only how that university functions, but how the Vice Chancellor of that university, Prof Dr Jameel-Un Nabi, has come to this place as the Vice Chancellor, and what he did and how he achieved what he achieved, and the struggles that he went through in order to achieve all the attributes that he has to his credit. So, without further ado, let's go and meet Professor Dr Jameel-Un Nabi, and I think he's on his way to meet us. Isaac Asimov said, and I quote, "There is a single light of science, and to brighten it anywhere is to brighten it everywhere." Professor Dr Jameel-Un Nabi, when did that little lamp of scientific endeavors or that inclination towards science come to you? Because you were born to a banker father and a housewife mother in Karachi, and did your parents ever realize that you were going to grow up to be a renowned physicist and an educationist?
Thank you very much, Umar. It's a long story, it's a long journey. I was always attracted towards science during my early ages. And this wish of me, that took more strength when I was doing my high school and college. So, I had that habit of understanding things from the basic principle. And then when I moved to the college, then and I did my college in Africa, in a country called Nigeria.
That is very interesting, because you're talking of Africa, and of course you were saying Nigeria. But being the son of a banker father, of course, and getting to know the world, because your father was moving around a lot across the world, what did your different experiences in areas of the world, such as Nigeria and Africa, or Yemen, Sana'a, teach you as a student? Did they brighten your horizons as a young man?
It certainly was an experience for me, but as a student, if you keep on changing your school and keep on making new friends and losing the previous ones, it's not very easy.
True.
So you have to adapt to this type of situation, but then it also teaches you a lot that nothing is permanent and change is inevitable. So it taught me a lot. I did my basic schooling, as I told you, in the Middle East, and then moved on to Africa for my college, and then came back to Pakistan for bachelor's and master's, and then again moved to Europe for my PhD.
Right. Coming to Africa and Nigeria, we are always enamored by when anybody talks about Africa. What was your experience being in Nigeria, being in another part of the world?
It was wonderful, I mean to say. We were in the main city called Lagos. It was not the capital, but then it is certainly the hub of economic activities. So my father was placed there, and I feel very honored to be a student of King's College. So that's the #1 college in Nigeria, and I'm a student of that particular college, and that taught me a lot. I used to enjoy mathematics. I was a very active member of the chess club there.
All right.
And it was wonderful days.
Has chess come in handy as far as your role now as a Vice Chancellor, also as an educationist? Because chess all depends on the future moves, on how you perceive in advance the move that you will make as your opponent moves forward. In life also, you also always have to perceive your next move so that you become a better person or become a better professional. Has that been the case? Has chess taught you some of that as well?
Yeah, probably yes, but at that time I was too immature to think of my future,
right.
And I used to enjoy my game. but then probably it built some qualities in me. I'm sure about that.
All right. Well, from Yemen to Oman to Africa and then back to Pakistan. Of course, as a young man, I understand that changing so many locations is not, I mean, you're not happy with it as a child or as a young adult because you make friends in all of these places. And then after a certain time, you have to leave all of them and you have to say goodbye to them. Have you ever kept in touch with some of your school fellows or college fellows from these different areas of the world?
Yes, lately. So, at that time, we did not have these social media or other things where we can find the friends. But then, when these things came into existence, and then I started searching with the names, and I found some of my friends way back, from Yemen as well, and also from Muscat. And yes, we are in contact.
All right, that's wonderful. Now, you spoke of King's College where you did your O-levels and A-levels. You were also a topper. You never talk about that. Why is that so? Because, it's an achievement nevertheless. Did you always achieve or wanted to achieve the top place when it comes to education?
No, I never aspired to be a topper, but then, I just worked hard, worked diligently, worked passionately, and then from day one, I had this belief that the reward will come automatically. So I never aspired for any rewards or rewards. It comes automatically. It's part of that. So I just kept on studying, trying to, and I owe this my love to science. I must mention one of my tutors, who was my tutor in Nigeria. He was Moroccan, and his name was Mr. Mack. So, I always think back and remember him because he played a very key role igniting that passion for science in me. I believe that.
All right. And is that also the reason that once you're an educationist also, you always try to bring about that change in the teachers and in the professors, because you have been taught by one and you still remember that tutor even now in this part of your life? And don't you feel that whatever once someone gives to you, you give it back in one way or the other to the society?
Yes, that's all what life is about. You learn from someone, and then when time comes, you have to teach other people, and that's how society sustains.
All right. Well, King's College, Nigeria, you do your O-levels and A-levels, you come back to Pakistan because your father relocates himself here along with the family. First of all, amongst the parents, your father and mother, who was the strictest?
It would be my mother. My father I hardly remember that, he would scold at me. But then, mother will always do anything in love, I mean to say, and we still cherish, whatever she told to her at that time. So mother would be a little bit strict. Father always gave me an open hand.
All right. Well, that's, a bit out of the ordinary, because normally it's the fathers who are strict and the mothers who are more lenient towards their children. But nevertheless, it's always an experience to have one parent who is strict and the other who's not, because that is always the case. Well, you come back to Pakistan, and then, of course, you have to adapt to the new system because you had done your O-levels and A-levels. So you do your BSc honours here from the University of Karachi, and then you go for a master's in physics. Why physics?
Yeah. At that time, I will be frank with you, I already had developed that love for science.
All right.
And, physics was something which always fascinated me from my college days. So, naturally, physics was my first choice. I did get my admission in other departments there as well in Karachi University, but then I decided for physics. I made my career there, and some of my professors there at Karachi University, they played a very pivotal role in setting my path. So, for example, later on when I went to Germany for my PhDs, it was one of my Professor Riaz Saab, who helped me a lot with this letter of references. He himself, did his education from Germany and had a German wife as well. So they taught me a lot and they helped me a lot.
All right. So, of course, you did your PhD from Heidelberg in Germany. It's a different language. Did you have to learn the language before in Pakistan, or did you go to Germany and then learn the language there?
Yeah, I was given this scholarship from the government of Pakistan, and I'm thankful to the government for that. And yes, I was required to do a certificate course in German language from At that time, it was not Namal University, but it was an Institute of Modern Languages. So I did my basic German from that particular institute before going to Germany.
And before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to tell you that he was also a topper as far as his master's is concerned. That is how he got a scholarship to do his PhD. So, let's come to Heidelberg and Germany. Being in a different country and, of course, in a different era and on your own, was it easy?
It was never easy. But then I was always thinking that I had to deliver. I was cognizant of the fact that I am on a scholarship, and scholarship from the government of Pakistan. So you know, other people would clear this so-called TOEFL test for German. That's called PNDS, you know, in German. So normally people would take quite a long time. I cleared that in a record 3 months' time. And that made me eligible to start my education directly in the university in German language. And then I was again lucky enough to save another year because my master's was taken equivalent to their diploma. And so I got admission direct to the PhD program. And then from there onwards, again, I was very, at times, you know, I think that Allah was always, you know, helping me. Maybe because it was the prayers of my parents, you know, I think so. They always encouraged me, you know, to learn. So, you know, then I started my PhD. Just after a year, I was a PhD student in Germany. And my colleagues, you know, who went with me in my batch, they took more than 2 to 3 years to start the same program. So then I had also the privilege of doing my PhD at one of the topmost institutes in Germany. It's called the Max Planck Institute. And then it was the Max Planck Institute for Nuclear Physics, where I did my PhD work.
Oh, that's wonderful. But there's another factor in your whole life that also changed it a little bit, and that is your marriage that happened in 1997. An arranged marriage, nevertheless, I'd like to tell the viewers. How does marriage change a person? Especially when he's pursuing his studies, because of course your wife followed you in Germany and you had to continue with your PhD with your wife. Was it difficult living as a couple, because you were living on your own before that for a couple of years, and then you are of course thrust into a life which is normal, of course, with your wife and everything. Did that help you? And did that make you a more comfortable person or at ease as far as your balance of life is concerned?
I must say I was again very blessed to have such a wife. She was from day one helping me achieve my goals. So I remember my first apartment was just a 1-bedroom apartment. And from there we started our journey. And she never complained. She always helped me. She helped me with my PhD work as well, I'll tell you that. Yes. Some of the works, you know, which need some sort of a secretarial work, she was doing all the time with me. In the night, in the daytime, she used to work with me. It was again not very easy for me to manage, you know, her as well, because of financial constraints. The scholarship was hardly you know, enough to keep me working there. So what I did on weekends and night shift, I started working part-time as well. You know, that was allowed to me on my visa. So I did that, and then I saved some money, and then alhamdulillah we got a small apartment, and then my son was also born there. And you know, I feel very proud that when I was doing my PhD defense, he was a 1-year-old boy and he was clapping.
All right. That must still remain you as a very vibrant and lively memory.
Yes, it sure is in my memory.
All right. So in 1999 you finished your PhD, and then you decide to return to Pakistan. Why return to Pakistan? So many people say, oh, we're going to go there in another country, complete our education, and then continue working there. And I'm sure you must have had so many opportunities to work there.
Yeah, I mean, I will correct you. Before coming back to Pakistan, I wanted to become a totally independent researcher.
All right.
So I decided to go for a 3-year postdoc sort of training period to US.
All right.
So there I was in Louisiana State University for 3 years in the Department of Physics and Astronomy, and I gained the required experience in States. And then, yes, I took the decision, and again I should thank my parents for that. They were always telling me that Pakistan needs you. And I never had a second thought. When I took that experience, I came back to Pakistan.
All right. And your wife was there in the US with you as well?
Yes.
All right. So you return after 3 years of postdoctoral research work. Research is something that you're extremely fond of. Was it something that slowly and steadily developed inside of you as a professional, or was that little, how should I say, inkling to go to become a researcher at some point of your life always there?
I think both. It was always there, you know, when I told you, when I was attracted to science, so that research thing is part of science.
All right.
And then I got those opportunities, and once I felt like that I can independently do my research back in Pakistan, I came back.
All right. So, of course, you come back and then you join the Quaid-e-Azam University, a department that is known as the National Center for Physics at that time, and this is 2002. And, of course, you return from the Louisiana State University, Baton Rouge in the US, after having gone through Max Planck Institute for Nuclear Physics in Heidelberg, Germany, two excellent institutes that you've gone through, two stamps of approval that you got, and you come to Pakistan and you join the Quaid-e-Azam University. How would you describe your first day at work in Pakistan?
It was never easy to, you know, financially I was not feeling very comfortable, and and there was a reason for that. National Center for Physics at that time did not get its charter, so they were unable to hire me as a full-time faculty. So they hired me as a postdoc again, and I was, you know, getting a very small amount of scholarship, which hardly covered my rent. Which I had to rent an apartment in Chaklala, Pindi. But then the Professor Dr. Riazuddin Marhoom Sahab, one of my mentors, who played a very key role in bringing me back to Pakistan, he himself one day tells me that, Jameel, you know, I think you should move to another university because we are not in a position to give you a permanent position. I'm sorry, I called you from US and I feel like that I did not do justice with you. And then he told me that there is a university faculty position in GIK Institute, Swabi. And he showed me that ad, and that was the time when I applied for a faculty position in GIK. And at the same day, I got, you know, joining letter the same day.
Which department was that?
So it's called Engineering Sciences. So this is a new thing in Pakistan. There they call faculty. So Faculty of Engineering Sciences, that is more like an applied sciences department. It's an engineering department, but then it focuses on applied sciences.
All right. Dr. Saab, this relationship with the Ghulam Isa Khan Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology has been one of your longest and strongest ones. And you have slowly crept up the ladder in that university. Why stay so long in one institute?
I don't know. GIK has something which is unique. First of all, I always prefer to stay in a sort of a university town. In Germany, it was never a big city. It was Heidelberg. It is a university town. In United States, it was Baton Rouge, again, more of a university town. I would not like to go in big cities and settle there. For the same reason, when I came back to Pakistan, I did not decide to settle in Karachi. My parents still, you know, are not comfortable with that decision. But then, being a researcher, I would like to be in a place which is conducive to research. And GIK has an excellent infrastructure for a good researcher. So once I joined there, I never thought of leaving that place till this particular year. So I spent like 18 or so years there, and it was a wonderful experience.
But in between, you also underwent certain courses. You went to Italy, you went to Egypt as well. How would you describe those experiences?
Yes, this is just to quench your thirst for research. So in GIK, we had what we call as summer research leave. So every summer, a faculty member can leave for his or her research nationally or internationally. So I made use of that facility, and every year I would either be going to Europe or Turkey is another of my preferred destinations for research, and also Egypt. This is because I have collaborators working there, and we will work on some projects, some papers, and then come up with some publications. So that's very important.
All right. So of course, as far as the GIK is concerned, you start with as an assistant professor, then become an associate professor, then you become a full professor, then you become the dean faculty of engineering sciences. I hope I'm not leaving anything behind. And then of course you become the pro-rector academics at the GIK as well. Looking back, because now you're in another university, how would you see all that development, and how has that development nurtured you as a professional?
I learned a lot from these positions, and the idea of working as a team that developed once I got to work in these positions. Initially, in my initial stages, it was always about myself. How would I excel? How would I move ahead? How would I publish more papers? But then slowly I began to realize that it's not just me, it's the whole institution that you should take along with. So when I was made the Dean of Faculty of Engineering Sciences, it helped me a lot. I was also the Dean of Student Affairs there, and then I was also the convener of JIK College. So I started getting this experience of paying back to the institution, and that helped me a lot, in the way my thought process evolved.
All right. Now, as far as your thought process and its evolution is concerned, it also, as you say, goes down from generation to generation. Now, you've got two sons. One of them is now doing his PhD from the United States of America in machine learning, and the other is at the GIK, the same place where you were as a professor as well. Do you feel happy to have left a part of you there now that you're in another university?
Yes. I would say that he is a hostelite there. In GIK, you have to stay in the hostel. My eldest son also wanted to be in GIK. He could not make it to the merit, but then he did his degree in computer science from a leading Pakistani university. Mashallah, doing well now. Now the second son is in GIK, and I'm happy about him.
All right. And both of your sons have somehow gotten themselves in the same field as you as far as research or as far as physics is concerned, engineering is concerned. So have you ever was that inculcated in your sons as well, or were they more or less enamored by the way their father was working? Were you a role model for your sons?
Never thought of that way. I never take myself to that level that I could be a role model for anyone. But then, and I left the decision to my sons, whatever field they want to choose. So they shifted more towards artificial intelligence, computer sciences, and that's what they're interested in. And my younger son also, he wants to do something, in designing and making new video games. So this is again a field which is coming up very fast.
Have they ever come to you for guidance?
Yes, but not to the extent I wanted them to come.
Okay.
Yes. But maybe I am a strict father, I really don't know. Maybe I am.
All right. So I think the genders have changed from your mother. Now it has kind of come to you as far as strictness is concerned. Let's come to the University of VA. How did the opportunity to join the university come to you?
I really don't know. I was thinking that I was destined to be only at GIK. And, that was my first job. And my wife used to say that it would also be your last job. And then all of a sudden, I will get a phone call from the selection committee that they would like me to apply for this job. And I said, why me? So they said, you were just making some phone calls and you are one of the people, you just don't have to do anything. Just send us your CV on through your emails. That's how I did it. I was not serious at that time. But then, after a series of interviews, I also got interested, and then something came into me that probably this place wants me.
All right. So teaching is something that you always have wanted to associate yourself with. Now, you are a Vice Chancellor here at the university, but at the same time, you're also Professor of Nuclear Physics. Was this deliberate on your end, because you could have chosen one of the two?
Why I decided to accept the post of Vice Chancellor, the answer is I want to pay back to my country, and if Allah has given me an opportunity, a responsibility, I should not say no to it. Research, Physics, astrophysics, nuclear astrophysics is my passion. I continue to do that from day one, and today as I'm talking to you, I have my students in University of WA, graduate students, I have students in GIK, I have students in Punjab University at the moment, and I have a student also in Japan. So, you know, I have students everywhere, and I love to supervise my students.
Dr. Saab, is this whole supervising of the PhD thesis of different students across the world also a way of you giving back of what you've learned?
It sure is. It gives me a feeling of satisfaction, and that's what we do in our field. I'm not unique. My colleagues would also be doing a similar sort of a thing, and this is how we pay back to the society.
Research has always been a very important component of your professional life, whether it be at GIK as well, where you established the research lab, or here at the University of WA. How important is it to also develop in a more concise and comprehensive manner the research institutes at this university?
University of WA is in a developing phase, and we are making progress day by day. When I decided to take up as Vice Chancellor of this university, I took it as a challenge, and my goal is to make this university a research intensive university.
And of course, there are so many departments and faculties here at the University of WA. And being here since the last 6 months, what has been your vision in order to make this university one of the most popular of Pakistan?
Should start by thanking our board. I mean, to say the board members, they are totally open, and they have told me that they want to make this place a real university, a university that has a mark on the national and international forum. So with that confidence from the board, I am here, and I'm thankful they are supporting me in all my endeavors.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go and have a little walk through to the University of WA to understand more what this university is all about. Stay tuned.
Umar, please come inside. This is our seminar hall.
All right.
And I would like you to meet my deans, directors, Principal Butt.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Umar
How are you?
from
Fine, sir.
PTV World. How are you all of you, ji? सब खैरियत से ठीक हैं?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Please बैठिए. Umar, please also आप भी आके बैठिए, please. प्रिंसिपल वैक माशाल्लाह से हमारे पास वेरी सीनियर फैकल्टी मेंबर काफ़ी अरसे से हमारे पास यहाँ मौजूद हैं.
What is a WEC?
This is our engineering college. The name is WA Engineering College.
All right.
And he's the principal of that college.
Of course.
And next to him is Dr. Uzma Ghazamfar, Professor Dr. Uzma Ghazamfar, Dean of Basic Sciences, Professor Mushtaq from Management Sciences, Dean Engineering, Professor Shahab, Dean Social Sciences, Professor Nazir. We also have a girls' college here.
All right.
I did not mention this to you. It's intermediate level, and Ma'am Anila is the principal of that college.
Wonderful, man.
And then next to her is our director of media publications, and computer science ki chairperson. And then here we have the directors here as well. So many people here.
Registrars, treasurers, controller of
I must
exams.
mention, Ji, Registrar Sahib is sitting next to you, and he has made all the arrangements, so I'm thankful to Peter Harun Sahib as well.
All right. Professor Dr. Saab, so many different departments and faculties. Is it easy to manage all of that, or do you put the onus of responsibility on all of these very capable persons?
It's all about the team, Umar. If you have a good team, nothing is difficult for you. And I'm blessed because I have a very good team here. The administration team and the faculty. Both, they support me very well, and together as a team, so, I enjoy this work.
All right. Is it difficult to manage so many departments and so many faculties? I mean, because there's a plethora of departments and five main faculties, if I'm not wrong, and 18 departments under those 5 faculties. And of course, you mentioned the girls' college as well, which is an additional responsibility, if I might say. How does one manage all of that on a day-to-day basis? Do you all meet on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, to understand each other and what are the developments that are going on in your respective faculties and departments?
So system works here properly. So if the system is working properly, there is no need to meet on a daily basis. Of course, whenever there is a need, we do meet, not necessarily on a daily basis. We at least meet once a week.
All right.
But then, you know, sometime twice, sometime thrice a week. System is working perfectly fine. So we have a head of all the of every department, and that particular head, you know, is taking good care of the department. So my role just then becomes like a overall supervisor type of a role.
Right.
And only when there are some problems which needs to be resolved at my end would it come to my table. Otherwise, they are all, you know, empowered to take decisions on their own.
All right. So, I mean, in these 6 months that you've been here at this very eminent university, do you feel that you've been able to bring about an element of yourself into the different departments?
Well, I certainly feel so, but it's better that you ask my people. Yes, I mean to say, I think they would agree with me. I like to work,
All right.
and I make people work. So, you know, you can ask the people here, the chairpersons, the deans, and the administration, everybody, they were all working, but then now they have a direction now to follow, and that direction is very simple. We would like University of Wa to be a research-intensive university at the earliest possible.
Is that because you yourself are a researcher at base?
Maybe, but then, you know, it's a tough competition, and the message from Higher Education Commission is, you know, you have to really perform the universities on all fronts. So either we take a tough decision and start doing our homework right now, otherwise, you know, we may have to perish at a later stage. So that's not what I want to do. I really want to come in competition, and inshallah with this team, with this capable faculty, with this capable faculty administration, I'm confident we will do it.
And finally, we've got so many deans here and heads of departments, and one person I've already interviewed for this very series of Sky's the Limit as well, and I had a great time talking to him, and I've told you that off the record as well before the show. When there is an issue, whether it comes from you or whether it comes from any head of the department, are you people a strong enough team to talk it out, to see how we can move forward despite the issues, despite the problems that emanate from departments? Because of course this is a normal working, and it happens in day-to-day life that you encounter issues. How do you work around those? Is it through discussion, is it through dialogue, or is it through other measures?
I would very much welcome difference of opinion, and that's something which I always encourage, which I always tell my team members in the meetings. And then we try to build up a consensus. Very seldom will there be, you know, that I have to give my casting vote. Otherwise, it's generally a consensus on all the issues. So once, you know, we speak out, you know, we are candid, we are open about the issues, I'm sure the solution is there.
All right, and if there is any difference of opinion, all the heads of departments are also free to come to you and to voice it out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Again, you should ask the deans, but then, yes, that's what I've told them.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. We'll continue our conversation, ladies and gentlemen, after the short break.
So, Umar, please let me show you one of our classrooms in action.
All right.
We have recently opened this university after this COVID situation. And at the moment, we have some graduate students sitting here, and I was informed there is also a Board of Studies meeting going on.
What is a Board of Studies meeting, sir?
So this is the grassroots level when you are designing the curriculum of any program. Then you sit down together, and then we have some experts coming out from outside the university, and they will be telling us, you know, what components or what changes needs to be made in the curriculum. Also, we have to follow the rules and regulations of the regulators. So all this is taken into account, and then the recommendations of the Board of Studies will then go to Board of Faculty, and then, you know, ultimately to the Academic Council, and then it becomes part and parcel of our program.
I understand you're new here, but in your whole experience as heading a university, how long does it take to change the curriculum or to amend the curriculum of a university?
It cannot be instantaneous, neither it should be, so we have to follow a process, and there are statutory bodies and we have to take approval from all those bodies, from all those forums. So what I think is the most important would be the board of studies, what we are having here right now. And because these are the real people, these are the experts who will give their feedback. And then the upper bodies, they are more or less, they will just have a holistic view and before getting it approved. But it would take, few months, I'm sure about that, before we can make any changes.
And once they have made the necessary changes, this board of studies, does a representative come to you to show you on how these changes have been made, and do you approve or disapprove of some of them?
Yes, ultimately in the academic council, when it's brought up as an agenda item, till that time the matter has already been resolved and refined at that level. So the final decision would take place at the academic council forum, and if there is a consensus on that particular change, it gets approved. If not, it can also get disapproved.
All right. How important is change or amendment in the curriculum of any faculty?
Absolutely important, I would say. Why? Because we are living in an era where technology is changing by leaps and bounds, exponential growth in technology. So it's a constant need to review the curriculum and update it as per the demand of the day.
All right. It's wonderful to see you all here as well, and thank you to have given us the time, and I know you're busy in a meeting. So, and thank you very much, sir, to have shown me this area, because I think any student that comes here gets educated through a certain curriculum. It's very important for that curriculum, as you've very ably said, to have it updated as per the norms and traditions and the realities of life and what the student will then encounter later in life once he or she becomes a professional.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Jameel-Un Nabi, to have shown me this part of your institution. And of course, our visit is continuing. So, of course, let's go further and kind of understand how the University of WA functions.
Now, this is our main library building. And these are our librarians. कैसे हैं आप लोग सब खैरियत से हैं? Nowadays, there's not full strength of student on campus. We just finished the end semester examination of spring semester, and it just finished yesterday. Okay, Omar, so let me show you to one of my favorite places in the university, and that is, of course, the library.
Of course.
Please, back in.
The library is, I think, the place where one studies, where one learns, where one understands what life and its different principles are all about. And earlier in the show, we've talked about how libraries have played such a prominent role in your life. Do you try to disseminate that philosophy of life to your students as well?
Yes, the times have changed. In our times, the libraries were normally crowded with students because we had the concept of this hard copy thing. Now, most of the students would like to read e-books on either their laptop or on their palm top or their mobiles. But still, the feeling that you get by coming to this sort of an environment.
By feeling a paper even
yes.
when you're reading a book in your hands, it's so different than when you read it online.
So I've given this instruction to my librarian that he should come up with some new ways, new device to attract students and faculty to come in big numbers to the library. But at the moment, yes, you would see that the libraries are not as crowded as they used to be. But this is my wish to make them come back to the library.
How many different types of books or material is available in the library?
Oh, we would have them in, of course, in thousands, because it's a big university and every year there is a budget. This section that we are here in is the non-engineering section.
All right.
And then we have an engineering college as well, and there we have a separate library there as well. And then we have also some small libraries in the departments as well. So this is the main central library for non-engineering students here.
All right. Are there certain library hours that need to be respected by the students?
Yes, it is normally open during the functional hours of the university. And once the university closes, the library closes. But then, if a research student submits us a special request that he or she would like to use it in extended hours, they are allowed to do so as well.
And of course, you can take a book, you can, for a certain amount of time period, and you can study it at your place in order to, understand your department or whatever you're studying in a better manner. Is there, is there a certain limit to the amount of books that a student can take at one time?
Yes, there is a limit, but then the duration also, there is a limit to that. But then you can extend the duration as well. Why? Because the books are limited and other people are also waiting for that. But then if there is a genuine demand, it can be lended for an extended period as well.
But Dr. Saab, you've seen the change that has happened with the new generation, as we've talked about the transition from regular books to e-books as well. Do you feel, as somebody who's gone through both these transitions, which is healthier? Reading a book, reading an e-book, or are you in favor of the both? But one should go as far as reading is concerned. Reading is essential, don't you feel?
Of course, it is essential. If you ask me which is healthier, I always feel more comfortable and it's more healthy to be in the hard form. Reading e-books on a very small screen will put some strain on your eyes, and then for an extended time it might have some other issues as well. It's good that you walk to a library, and in my days we also used to go to community libraries. So when I was in States, I was visiting the community library there. I'll drive miles away, and then I'll go to the library and then sit there. So and sometimes you would walk to that library as well. So it's always good. You will strive for something, and then when you get it in your hands, you have a very different feeling. On the other hand, if it's just on your palm top every time, so that type of respect that book should have probably is not there.
How important is it as a researcher, as somebody who loves this whole aspect of research, is reading and understanding through books?
Very important, very important. Of course, research would also involve studying of research publications, research journals, which also are available in the library. Unless you have a firm grasp of the fundamental understanding of the problem, you really cannot take it to the next level. So it's very important.
All right. And taking it to the next level is what we're going to do right now, because Professor Dr. Saab is a researcher at heart, and we're going to go right now to the research lab to know where he does all his work and where he has been doing it, and of course the whole that aura of being in a research lab and doing research. This is something I'd like to understand and decipher myself. Stay tuned.
So this is the place where I would like to be as a researcher. This is a lab complex where the research students, they are doing their research works, and
I can see that I can see your name here, right here. If you can see that, ladies and gentlemen, Jameel-Un Nabi, I think you must have overseen the PhD for this student, whose name I cannot pronounce.
She was a Turkish national, so her name was Shadiye Chakmak. Currently she is an associate professor in Turkey. And she did her PhD with me. This work was done at GIK Institute when I was a faculty member there, and she was our first foreign PhD scholar, did work under my supervision, and some work on her nuclear model. So this is the work which she presented in one of the conferences.
Does working on physics and nuclear physics come easy to you when you're even teaching or overseeing the PhD thesis of somebody?
Yes, because this is my bread and butter, and I just...
it's also your passion, isn't it?
And it's my passion, you're very correct. So I can live with every other thing else, but this is very important for me.
All right. This is wonderful, because there are numbers and facts and figures that I cannot understand, because I'm a non-physicist and you're one who understands this like anything. When a student, for example, comes and you have to oversee his or her PhD, how regular is the interaction between you and the student?
It's very regular. Currently, one of my students is in Japan, working at RIKEN. So we have a meeting every week, once on Zoom. And so are the students. I have few students in GIK, I have few students in University of Wa, one PhD from Punjab University. All are my students currently, and we have a weekly meeting on Zoom. So people from Japan, from Swabi, from Lahore, from University of Wa, all are there.
The world is becoming a small place thanks to social media and these different tools.
And that keeps me lively, that keeps me young.
You are eternally young, sir.
So Omar, one of our research labs, where you would see students in action, and this is our chemistry lab. And students Why don't you explain what you are doing here at the moment?
So I am basically checking the progress of my reaction, and I am preparing quinoxylene chalcone based derivatives. They are basically anti-cancer compounds, and I am basically right now checking the progress of reaction by performing PLC.
So different kinds of research is happening there, whether it be on cancer or other diseases as well.
Yes, we have quite a few faculty members who are trying to work on cancer and how to prevent these type of things, cancer. So this is very active research.
When being a researcher yourself, sometimes one gets so involved in the research process that one doesn't see the night of day or the dawn coming. Has it happened to you ever during your tenure as an academician that you've passed, 18 or 20 hours in a research lab?
Yeah, of course, when I was a student, that was the normal routine. Nowadays, with so many other obligations, I would seldom get time. But then whenever I get time, I will get myself involved. Coming back to this lab complex, once I came here, we made sure that it is also open on the weekends and also for extended times in the evening. So this is more like a 24/7 facility.
It's also a second home for all these researchers, isn't it?
It sure is.
As it was to you in other labs, in other places of the world.
Yeah.
How important is it for a researcher to undergo these tests, to go through this nitty-gritty, this grind of being in a lab and to find out what's right, what's wrong?
By setting example first of all, and then lab facility is so important. Hands-on experience, until you do it with your own hands, you will not get the feeling of it. So if you are an experimentalist, lab is absolutely essential for you. Yes, if you are a theorist or working on modeling and simulation, then of course sitting on computers can also help you out. But otherwise you have to come to this place. There's no other way out.
It's like a mechanic or a technician. He has to be there and to go through the nitty-gritty in order to understand and better himself as a professional. Isn't that so?
Absolutely correct.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are slowly and steadily coming to the end of our show. The last few minutes will be a short discussion with our guests. Stay tuned. Professor Dr. Jameel-Un Nabi Saab, we've had a little overview of your university, and of course it's quite enamoring the way you are trying to bring changes in it, and of course the different departments that are there, and the way you also are handling not only your students but your faculty as well. But at the same time, when we go through these green areas, I see that there are little marks written on each tree. And I was told that the students adopt these trees. Is that true?
Yes, we are very much cognizant of the environmental issues here at University of WA. And so we have started this scheme that, one of the trees would be adopted by one of the students just to make them aware of their responsibility as they grow in their career. And till the time they are our students, they do take care of those trees. But once they graduate, we take it up from there.
All right. Doctor, I have a couple of questions that I normally ask my guests. You've gone through such a lot of, how should I say, different aspects of your life, your professional life, your personal life. You've been to most parts of the world, whether it be as a student or as a trainee, or to give training, or to get awards. When you look back at your life, Dr. Saab, is there anything you'd like to change if you were given the opportunity to relive it?
I think no. If I give another chance, I would again become a researcher and I would again love to serve my country. So there is no second thought on that.
Sir, from serving your country, sir, there's one word that always comes to my mind, that is patriotism. What does patriotism mean to you?
So, there are so many people in Pakistan, those we even don't know, dedicated, passionate people working for Pakistan, and I pay full tribute to those people who are not even in the limelight. So I'm just doing my very small part here, serving my country, paying it back. It was a time when I got my scholarship to do my higher studies, and now it's my time to pay it back. And that's an obligation which I feel, and I feel so satisfied that God have given me this opportunity to pay back to the country. my best wishes for my country.
All right. And any message you'd like to give to all of those young men and women who want to pursue any field of education? What are the basic guiding principles that they need to keep in mind when they go to any educational institution, including yourself, in order to pursue their studies?
First thing is, there is no shortcut. Unfortunately, nowadays, students would like to opt for shortcuts. So if you really want to be successful, there is no shortcut. You really have to work, you really have to put your time, invest your time. You should be dedicated, passionate about what you are doing. And when you give 100%, I have this belief that Allah always rewards you, and then whatever goals you have in your life will be fulfilled. So my message is, work hard, be passionate, be dedicated.
Work hard, be passionate, be dedicated. This is what Professor Dr Jameel-Un Nabi Saab says as far as getting your education is concerned. I think that is the basic general principle that one applies when one is furthering oneself in life, in any aspect, as a student, as a professor, as a teacher, as a person, as a family man, as a father, brother, sister, or as a citizen of a country like Pakistan. These are the things that you need to keep in mind. As our Qaid also said, discipline, faith, unity. In fact, unity, faith, discipline, as he said in this order, are the basic key principles which lead a country and its citizens towards a bright future. As Nelson Mandela also pointed out, that education is that tool that can change the world. And it is people like Professor Dr Jameel-Un Nabi who are trying to make and bring that change in the world. So, of course, we wish him all the very best. And all of those who are listening, pursue your passions, but at the same time be dedicated and be a true patriot to your country. Bring your country to the forefront as far as the developed nations are concerned. With that, we come to an end of Sky's the Limit. Omar Khalid Butt bids you farewell. We'll see you inshallah with the new guests, a new show next week. Take care of yourselves, stay safe. Allah Hafiz. And Dr. Saab, thank you very much to have given us the time and to have opened to us your new university, that is the University of Wa, where you are currently present, and to have given us an insight into what you want to bring as changes in the university and what you think is your philosophy of education.
My pleasure. Thank you also very much, Umar, to you and to your team for coming so far and trying to show to the world what we are doing here at University of Wa.
Sir,
thank you very
more than
much.
welcome, sir.